It's time to learn the exact roadmap for your B2B or SaaS company to drive pipeline and revenue from SEO in record time. Hey, I'm Sam Dunning, founder over at breakingb2b.com. In this episode, I'm going to share the exact roadmap so you can start from fresh, or perhaps you've already invested in SEO a little bit, but I'm going to share the tactics, tips, and strategies so your B2B or SaaS company can make SEO a solid channel for signups, leads, demos, and revenue. Everything from initial customer research, keyword planning, topic planning, creating content that ranks, resonates, and converts, earning top quality backlinks to significantly ramp not just vanity traffic, but high quality traffic for those prospects that actively are in market for your offerings right now, are searching for problems that you solve or comparing you to alternatives, so you can make SEO a top revenue driver for your B2B or SaaS company. Let's dive in. So SEO in simple terms for revenue or commercial value is how can we attract target prospects, dream clients that are ready to have a sales conversation now or in the near future. And in B2B tech, in SaaS, that usually looks like folks that are quite ready to take a trial, take a sign up, book a demo, or request a sales call. So in simple terms, what are they searching on Google when they're most likely to have the intent of being ready to speak to a salesperson or ready to take some kind of action on your website, be that self-serve, take a trial, book a demo? That's the simplest way I can put commercial SEO. And usually we'll dive into this. These are long tail keywords that you go after that are kind of super relevant to your offer. And I suppose the opposite to that approach is going for kind of more top of funnel traffic, more informational, as opposed to commercial traffic, where someone's more so looking to learn about a topic, looking to inform themselves, looking to educate, or maybe they have an early stage problem. So that's more kind of what we call top of funnel SEO, information based, which, yeah, there is a play for it for sure. I'm happy to kind of talk more about that. Whereas kind of we'd like to start more the bottom end, which is commercial traffic, aka, and that's what most B2B tech SaaS companies want, right? They want to drive demos, they want to drive commercial value, they want to drive revenue from SEO as quick as humanly possible. So usually it makes sense to start like, what are those folks going to type into a search engine when they're ready to take some kind of action? They're not typing it for fun, they're typing it because they want to speak to a salesperson, book a demo, or take a trial.
Very, very interesting, Sam. And I remember actually when you kind of approached us to do this podcast, you were talking about this revenue focused SEO strategy, and it's very similar now to what we're doing at Cognism, because back in the day when I started in this company, we were doing a lot more, as you said, the kind of tofu information, sort of education based keywords, things like what is B2B lead generation and what is B2B sales, doing things around those sort of like very, very broad topics. But over time, we've very much evolved our strategy to this, what we call the money keyword strategy, which is based around, those BOFU keywords, people that who are really searching for a solution like Cognism would type into Google. So for instance, you'd have keywords like B2B contact database or data enrichment tool or something like that, those kind of really like people who are like really looking and want to research more about what Cognism actually is and does. So these two strategies that we're both talking about align really closely, which is very, very interesting.
Yeah. And I think then you do some work early on with 𝗥𝗲𝗹𝗁 that's kind of has a similar mindset to myself when it comes to kind of commercial focused SEO. We probably disagree a bit on some terms, but I think most SEOs disagree on some stuff. Otherwise, it wouldn't be fun out there if we all said the same stuff. Are you tired of competitors ranking above you on Google, stealing traffic, leads, and mindshare from dream clients every time they're searching for your services or offers on Google? At Breaking B2B, we fix that with our unusual approach to SEO, content marketing, and websites. We craft B2B SEO strategies and websites for revenue, not vanity. Head over to breakingb2b.com to check our results, pricing, or to book a call with me. Yeah, I think that's the way to go. But that said, I think there is a play for some top of funnel, but it has to be very crisp and specific. And again, happy to get into that.
Yeah, I mean, before we get into the Bofu stuff, let's start at the top of the
Yeah.
funnel and work down. So why not go into that, Sam? Like, yeah, how would you approach a kind of a tofu content strategy?
Yeah. And I'll share kind of the format and the kind of framework that we use in a sec for kind of starting bottom up. But if we start from the top, like you say, many companies get, and sometimes it's not their fault. So sometimes what I see that forces companies to take a top of funnel SEO strategy that might drive some traffic but never really results in qualified leads or inbounds is often because they've maybe got a really small marketing team or limited resources. So as a result, the company might have neglected for SEO for ages, and that could be due to a number of things. It could be because they're venture backed or they're investor backed. So they've done the traditional outbound sales model. They've invested a ton into paid media. Maybe they've done a ton into events, and then eventually the exec team have thought, well, every time I search for our offer on Google or look for problems we fix or similar, then competitors are showing up way ahead of us, stealing that traffic, stealing that mind share, stealing that brand reputation, and stealing those inbound leads from organic search. And they think it's about time we did SEO. So they're like, okay, we want to do SEO. And so they speak to maybe their small marketing team of one or two. And they're like, right, guys, we need to do some SEO. And the problem is that marketer's so stretched, so thin on resources that they don't really have the time to do it because they've probably got a ton of other tasks on their plate. And as a result, what they'll probably do is go to a tool like Hrefs or SEMrush or one of the classic SEO tools Uber suggests, whatever it may be, look for a query that's relevant to their offer, probably one that has a lot of traffic, like how to do X, what is a KPI, what is this, best ways to do that. And you'll find that those kind of informational top of funnel queries will show up as a lot of traffic in your common tools. And then they might pump that query through a tool like ChatGPT or similar to get a blog article. Then you might make a few tweaks, chuck it on their blog, on their website, and then get back to the other 100 tasks that they've got to do for the week. Couple months go by, the team might say, kind of, how's SEO going? How are the results? And the marketer will be like, yeah, great. Published a blog, did some SEO like you said, and they'll say, well, how many leads did it drive? They'll be like, none. But you didn't tell me to do SEO to drive commercial value or to drive leads. You just said, quote unquote, do some SEO, and that's what I did. And that's where the problem and the mindset is. Like, kind of folks think that as an SEO is a simple chuck it into a keyword research tool, hope for the best, chuck out a blog. And yeah, that might result in a bit of traffic, but it's probably not going to convert someone if it's kind of really informational stage of their journey. But to flip that on its head, if you do want to attack top funnel SEO, we quite like to do the jobs to be done framework. So really understanding how someone is doing a specific job task or offer today, and what is the struggling moment that they face where that way they're getting the job done now becomes so painful, costs them churn, costs them staff, costs them revenue, costs them time, that there must be a better way. So they're not yet knowing that your solution exists, but they're searching to fix it. And what that might look like, these are very crisp, specific terms, not like general, like what is a spreadsheet, what is a KPI, something like that, where it's probably just a student or someone looking to educate themselves. We want to know what is the customer searching for when they have that crisp problem. And that comes from customer research usually, or listening to sales calls, listening to CS calls, listening to prospecting calls. And for example, if you offered some kind of calendar scheduling solution, it might be something like how to create a calendar within Google Sheets, or in your folks' case, or let's say you provided a power dialer, maybe it's how to make more dials on a mobile phone in a certain amount of time, or something like that. If you provide a power dial solution, like what is the cumbersome issue they face when trying to do this thing in house, or it might be if you've provided a CRM solution, like how to export data from Google Suite into Google Sheets or something like that, this crisp way that they're doing it right now, then they've thought, this is taking me 5, 6, 7 hours a week. Like, this is painful. I need to fix it. So those how-to crisp and specific problem-based searches can be useful. And the way they actually drive impact is they're usually articles, and it will say, look, this is how you can fix it, but you're probably spending X amount of time on this per week, like 5+ hours, and this is the impact it's probably having on your business. This is the new, better way. This is how our product's going to save you time. Basically, you're positioning your offer as a painkiller, and then you're you're having some social proof like customer quotes, testimonials, whatever. And then you're probably having like get a free trial, get a sign up, whatever. So that's how top of funnel stuff can actually be more revenue driven as opposed to what is X, what is Y, and then a simple explanation that can be answered by AI.
Those are really great tips, Sam. Thanks for sharing. But like, yeah, again, it resonates very much with my experience at Cognism, because we started out, as I said, with a very kind of like top of funnel content and SEO strategy, and we found we were getting thousands of website visitors per month, but not very many of them were converting. Which is why we kind of switched to the BOFU money keyword strategy. So let's get into this revenue focus side of SEO, Sam. So how would you start a revenue focused SEO strategy? Like how would you find in particular those high intent keywords that will really drive revenue?
I'm a simple guy, so most of my strategies are very simple. So one of the most straightforward exercises that I'd encourage folks to do that are perhaps not driving much in the way of inbounds, sign-ups, leads, demos for SEO right now is I'd literally just do what I did when I started breaking B2B 7, 8 months back. Fire up a Google sheet or an Excel sheet, make a list of a few columns, and within those columns, I would do one column for the main offer we actually want to sell. So if you're in SaaS, maybe that's, I don't know, calendar scheduling software, whatever. And all the variants that could be, is it referred to as calendar scheduling software, tools, platform, solution, etc. That's one of your columns, your main offers. The second is the niches or the industries that you actually want to serve. But these aren't just any niches that you think will work well or industries. These are ones that have historically invested well into your offer. So perhaps you've got a good database of past customers. They have the problem you fix. They are motivated to fix it. And most importantly, they have cash to invest in your offer. That's the second column. The third is going to be the competitors. So all of your main competitors that you're against. So any that the 3, 4, 5 that constantly come up on sales calls that your salespeople are starting to get annoyed. Like we've always got to come up against these. And then the next column will be what we talked about earlier, kind of jobs to be done. Like what are the main problems, frustrations that folks face? What is maybe the ways they're getting this job done in-house right now, and the kind of tipping point that they might face when they want to evaluate a vendor like yours. That's probably the first thing I'd stick to. And then from there, once we've got this column of kind of main offers, main industries, main competitors, main problems, this works quite well in tech and SaaS, but you can evaluate and you can evolve it into B2B service, which I'm happy to share as well, like how we did for my company. And then once you've got those, you basically want to make long tail commercial focused keywords out of them. So if you were in the calendar scheduling game, you might look at long tail keywords like best calendar scheduling software, best calendar booking tools, best calendar scheduling platform, calendar scheduling tools, that kind of stuff. These kind of long tail queries where not just calendar scheduling, because if someone's searching for that, it's more information based. If they're searching for tool, platform, software, tools, and they have the intent, they actually want to speak to a vendor around it. But those keywords, if you run them through a tool like Href, SEMrush, they're going to be competitive, right? You're going to face Calendly, you're going to face Chili Piper, Revenue Hero, HubSpot meetings. It's going to be hard to rank those for. So those would be more long-term queries that you'd look to build content out and rank for. And we can talk about how you can do that and build links to them. But we probably want to niche down. So you probably want to then go a bit further in and then making those a bit longer tail. So we might go for things like calendar scheduling tool for our industries. So for sales teams, or calendar scheduling tool for HR, or calendar scheduling tool for recruitment, or whatever our industries are. That'll be one play. And then likewise, we'll also basically we're completely exhausting this bottom funnel. And then we also want to look at in the SaaS world, in B2B tech, B2B SaaS, not so relevant for service-based industries, but alternative competitor-based searches. So that might be, if we link it back to the calendar scheduling world, that might be Chili Piper alternatives, or Calendly alternatives, or Calendly pricing, or Revenue Hero pricing, or Revenue Hero reviews, or that kind of stuff. And those kind of keywords work super well because, as you'll know, when it comes to B2B tech, buyers will often evaluate 3 or 4 vendors before they decide to invest. And that's why they'll often search to make sure they're getting the best deal. And if they are on the fence comparing offers, they'll search for things like competitor alternatives, competitor pricing, competitor reviews, that kind of stuff. And then they'll aggregate and kind of make their decisions. So that the first thing you want to do is make that list in a simple Google sheet, run some of those keywords through a tool like SEMrush, Hrefs to check they've got a little bit of search volume. But don't be too put off about the amount of search volume, because these commercial queries will have way less search volume than the top of funnel stuff, how to do something, best ways to do something, what is X, which is good because the folks have more intent and are more likely to land on your page and book a demo. So that's the first step. And then once you've kind of really exhausted all those options, then you want to jump into building pages that are actually going to rank and surpass your competitors, which we can dive into in a sec.
Yeah, that would be great, Sam. Yeah, you can go for it. Yeah, tell us about that.
Yeah. So again, very simple process I follow here. So we've exhausted the main bottom of funnel search terms we want to look at. The next thing is to see what type of content or what type of page is actually going to rank. So if we look at keywords like best calendar scheduling software, best calendar tools, best calendar scheduling platform, those kind of keywords, usually, if you type, all you got to do is type it into Google, look at the top 3 organic search results, and typically those kind of keywords, that this process is called assessing page intent. So we want to see what Google expects, what type of page they expect. And usually for those kind of keywords, comparison ones or top X software, they're going to be listicles. The top X platforms of 2024, something like that. And you'll have a list of 10 or so. And there's a simple way to make something more detailed. You basically evaluate what's ranking top, but you look for gaps in their strategy. So quite often companies will just do a bit of a write-up. So they say, what is calendar scheduling software in this case? They'll position their offer as number 1. They'll probably just talk about how great they are and then have a call to action to book a demo or trial, take a sign up. Whereas what you really should be doing is showing folks why you. So leveraging insight from sales calls, success calls, support calls, and kind of really sharing your points of differentiation. And maybe you've got like a table, like this is us pinned against our main competitor. This is why people choose us. This is the problems we fix that they don't. This is where we excel. And then maybe back that up with like a nice customer review video of why they chose you, and then a clear call to action to sign up or book a demo. And then you have a fair evaluation of the other vendors in that listicle underneath. And I'd always encourage you, like don't really do things in half measures. So if the top page was top 10, then I just try and blow it out of the water and just do top 20 top 20 of 24. So that way I don't have to go back in a few months' time and try and do something more detailed. So that's one strategy. And you'll find that if you're searching for keywords like the competitor keywords like competitor alternative or competitor pricing or competitor reviews, those tend to bring up listicles as well. Alternative based keywords tend to bring like the top 10 revenue hero alternatives of 2024. It'll be a similar practice. But from my experience, alternative based keywords can be quite a quick win. Like we built a bunch of those for one of our leadership SaaS management software clients, and we started ranking some of those within 30 days and like driving pipeline in quite a short space of time, which I'm sure you're used to it, Joe. Like there's a common saying that goes out there, like SEO needs 6 to 12 months. And sure, for competitive keywords like best X software, it probably does. But when you're going after more specific stuff like competitor alternatives or long tail offer for product for niche, those can rank a lot quicker. And likewise, those jobs to be done, top funnel how-to searches can rank quite fast as well. But what you might find is when you're searching for some of these keywords, they might bring up landing pages, which is a different type of page. So in that case, you want to evaluate the top 3 organic landing pages and look for gaps in their strategy. So maybe at the top of their page, they've got a hero area that says this is the offer, and then maybe they're going straight into features. So maybe you want to kind of flip it on its head and maybe have your hero area with your value prop, and then maybe talk about the problem that someone might be facing, talk about the impact of not fixing it, and then position your solution as the offer. You might want to weave in embed a YouTube video, which seems to help quite a lot of SEO from my experience, if you can weave in a relevant YouTube video on the topic. And also it can help your click-through rate in the search engine results page, because sometimes you get a nice thumbnail next to it. And sometimes you can get an extra bit of real estate in the search engine results page because you can show up in the video section. So you almost get like a 3-in-1 hit. You get extra boost on your page. You get possibly more click-through rates with the thumbnail. And then you also obviously get YouTube search if you've built it for that purpose. So that's quite nice. And yeah, basically one of the biggest issues I see in SEO is pages just don't resonate with with focused clients. So making sure when you're building the content for this page, whether it is a listicle, an article, or a landing page, that you're really taking the time to speak to either subject matter experts in your team or pulling insights from sales or prospects, so you can actually make sure that if the page ranks, then it's actually got more chance to convert. So we're kind of linking back to problems, linking back to frustrations, positioning our offer as a solution. And then if it's a landing page, we might handle objections or questions directly on that page. So we might weave in like a FAQ section at the bottom, but not just like so many B2B companies and tech companies do, putting random FAQs like, I don't know, maybe you land on one of your pages, Joe, on Cognism, like what is contact data? Like people know what contact data is. We want to go to specific questions that are relevant to the topic on the page. Like if it was a sales page specifically for one of your offers, like why should I choose you over X competitor? What's your onboarding like? What's the starting rate? What's your refund policy? How long does it take to get started on the software? Questions that actually get asked on sales calls. So it shows transparency, appeals to Google's framework, experience, expertise, authority, and trust, and also helps with sales enablement. So a salesperson can actually link one of these pages out to a prospect, and it would be genuinely useful for that prospect and maybe even speed up the sales cycle because it addresses their queries. So that few tips on the content side. And then I suppose the other frustrating side I see a lot in B2B and SaaS is that so much technical SEO advice is kind of BS, in the sense that you don't need to do loads of technical SEO for websites unless you get to thousands and thousands of pages. And usually that's e-com sites, which is not something I deal with at all. So you only really need to do the basics on technical SEO and from an actual standpoint, that's making sure the focus keywords. So if we said go back to our competitor alternative keywords, like for example, if it was a Calendly alternative keyword, it might be yourdomain.com/Calendly hyphen alternatives. That's, you include the keyword in URL, you include your focus keyword in the meta title and the meta description, you include it in the H1 heading tag on your page. Apart from that, you don't need to do that much. Like you don't need to mess around with image alt tags. You don't need to make your website speed 0.0001 second faster. You don't need to do months and months of audits. If you follow the basics, and yes, your website should load at a decent speed. It should look decent on mobile. Your article should be skimmable and kind of have a nice design. And likewise with your landing pages and such. But a lot of time gets wasted, we see from agencies on technical SEO, when publishing content at speed is so much more valuable. If you can exhaust, like we talked about there, if you can do that activity, exhaust that bottom of funnel, really understand what folks are searching for when they need your offer, have the problem you fix, or comparing you to alternatives on Google, and then have a bias towards publishing that content, seeing what ranks, giving it 2 to 3 months, and then making improvements. That will be so much more valuable to your team than messing around with technical SEO, especially at a startup or a company that has neglected SEO to date.
Yeah, I agree, Sam. Totally agree with everything you've just said there. I mean, certainly we've always been very focused on publishing things really quickly, because the thing is as well is, and a lot of people kind of maybe forget about this sometimes in content and SEO, but a blog is always editable. You can always go back and change it. You can always go back and make it better. And, they're not tablets of stone. And our thing is just, well, even if it's like 75% of the way there, just get it published, get it out in the wild. And then you can always just go back and iterate and make it better later on. And you also mentioned, well, I mean, a whole part of this sort of revenue focused SEO strategy, a lot of it is talking about competitors. And I think some people get quite wary about that, about like, we're going to be doing like comparisons of competitors. So how have you managed that? Because at Cognism, and I think you did touch on it earlier, you said something about, you just want to be honest. And we've always done that. It's never been about like putting competitors down. It's just making us look good rather than making them look bad. Is that something that resonates with you, Sam?
Yeah, and it is a tricky one, because there's often a quick win for B2B SaaS companies by going after those alternative keywords or pricing keywords or review keywords, that kind of stuff. But some companies just flat out won't do it. And it tends to be the bigger software companies, more enterprise, mainly because they're scared of a legal battle or something similar, which I kind of understand. If you're huge, and I'm talking like thousands and thousands of employees, software company, I kind of get it. But it is a really good play at the bottom of the funnel, because like if you think of your own buying journey, like if you're evaluating a fairly expensive piece of software that's going to be a significant investment, I don't know, 50K plus a year, then you're not just going to dive in and buy the first vendor that you hear about, are you? You probably are going to compare 3 or 4 vendors. You're going to speak to the rest of your exec team. You're going to do research on Google. You're probably going to check them out on LinkedIn. You might consume some of their articles. You might listen to their podcast, listen to their YouTube, whatever.
Yeah.
So, and that comes into that play, really. The fact that B2B is a very messy buying cycle, especially the more higher ticket and higher value your solution is. There's a lot of back and forth, a lot of up and downs, a lot of evaluating and talking to exec teams and whatever. So that's why those keywords work. And like to your point, you've got to be sensible in the sense that if you are doing the top 10 competitor alternatives for this year, yeah, by all means, position your offer number one. And yeah, share your differentiators, share why people choose you, do comparison tables, make it kind of stand out that you're a clear choice. But you have to do a fair evaluation of your vendors. Otherwise, you're just going to get aggro from them kind of contacting you saying, look, this isn't a fair evaluation. But it is standard practice. Like, and the problem is if you avoid that, if you search for some of those terms like best X software, best X tools, X alternatives, that's what Google shows. That's what Google displays as typically as the top 3 results, with some change. Like sometimes landing pages do sneak in there, and it is possible to rank landing pages, but it's usually a lot easier to rank a product listicle like this. They just Google prefers that content, and until they don't, you're gonna struggle to rank.
For sure, for sure. So one other thing as well that I think is interesting and good to talk about is that a lot of these BOFU high intent keywords, they don't come with like high traffic volumes or search volumes. And some people in leadership don't like that. You know, they sort of see, but this is no one's really searching for these terms. How would you convince one of your clients or someone in leadership that actually you need to switch your focus from those high traffic keywords that, although, you know, it gives you these great vanity metrics, gives you all the views and all the website visits, but no one's actually converting from those keywords? How do you convince them to make that mindset switch?
You can't really, because people really need to convince themselves. So if someone's of that mindset that they only want to get traffic, then it's very, very difficult to switch their mindset unless, like, I would ask them a question. I'd ask straightforward questions like how much of that traffic you're getting is converting into demo requests, signups, trials, things like that. And if they were to push back, if one of the exec team was to push back with, oh, but we're getting loads of traffic and it's building our brand, it's building our mind share, all that kind of stuff, I'd say, well, we're probably past the point of me being able to help you. Whereas if I could say, look, I mean, we tend to flip that on its head, and we'd rather focus on, yeah, by all means, traffic's fine, but we want to focus on valuable traffic. And what you'll often see on the commercial kind of keywords and the strategy that we've talked about so far is they will yield less traffic, but it'll be a much higher buying intent, aka folks that are way more likely to request a sales call or book a demo, whatever the action we want them to take. And if they say, well, that sounds good, then great, let's open the door and have a chat. And usually, from my experience anyway, exec teams need to be bought into SEO. They need to have history with SEO, or they need to have marketers on their team that are proponents of SEO and organic search. Otherwise, it's exceptionally difficult. It's exceptionally difficult. I've just got off a call with a cloud software company, and they were kind of pushing MQLs, and almost at the case where they did so much top of funnel SEO, and they said like last month they drove 80 or so MQLs, but they're pretty sure that none of them were going to close. And I was like, well, it goes top down leadership wise, and it's like if that is your focus, then that's what marketing team are going to be assessed on. And then sales are going to get pissed off because they're not closing any of the deals that come through. And it's like it needs the right mindset. And sometimes you can't help those folks if they don't want to listen. Whereas advertisers, if they've got marketers inside that know the value of organic search, or if they've got leadership that know the value of organic search, or if you can show them, look, this is what prospects are actually searching when they have intent to buy your offer. And right now, all your competitors are showing above you, stealing that traffic, stealing that brand, stealing that mind share, stealing those inbounds. Do you want to fix that? Yes or no?
It's a great question to ask, Sam. Great question to ask. So you touched a bit on it earlier. I think you mentioned it, but how would you? Because obviously the next big part of any part of SEO, you've got the on-page content itself, which we've covered, and the keyword
Yeah.
but then you have the thorny issue of backlinks. Sam, how
Mm.
is backlinking part of your strategy as well?
Yeah. 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 And what you'll see is there are some plays where you can get content. If you have a bias towards publishing content, like we talked about, you can rank content without backlinks. Usually, the more niche, more specific it is to your offer, the easier it is to rank. So when you go for like offer for solution for industry, those tend to be a bit easier to rank. Sometimes the competitor alternatives, if there's not a lot of people doing it, can rank quite fast. But when you get to more competitive ones like best X software, best Canada software, best Canada tools, that kind of stuff, that's going to be really tough to rank. And you're not going to be, even if you do a best in class page that's way more informative, helpful, useful, detailed, comprehensive, trustworthy than your competitors, it's just not going to rank against titans like Chili Piper, Calendly, etc. That's when you're going to need to build links. Um, so I'm not saying you always need links for SEO, but you do when it gets more competitive. And there's a few ways that we like to build them. Like there's a few examples I can give that aren't going to cost you any cash, but just a bit of sweat equity really and time. One is if you're an established company, then you can leverage past media or press from your founders or exec team, i.e., you could just go into a tool like Ahrefs and look for backlinks, and you might be able to find some past PR that they've had, but maybe that PR linked to a random page or linked to your homepage. And what you could do is contact whoever wrote that article and just say, hey, would you mind kind of tweaking this so we can actually link to a focus page that we're going after so you can get an anchor. Do follow link to one of those focus pages on one of the focus keywords. Um, Another play is to one of my favorites is actually partnerships. So finding out companies that target the same ICP, same ideal client profile, but are not direct competitors. So they're going after the same audience, but not direct, not going to cause a fight. So as an example for us at Breaking B2B, so we do B2B and SaaS SEO and content marketing. So one of my friends, Justin Rowe, runs an agency called Impactable. They do LinkedIn ads. And because I've been friends with him a while, he was like a natural fit. So when I fired up this agency, I was reaching out to folks to create content together. So I said, look, can I create a guest article on your site? Let me know what topic you want, as long as it's vaguely related to SEO or website, so I can write about it. So I did, wrote him a nice article, which ranked actually quite quick in like 30 days. I think it was around producing bounce rate or something like that. And then just asked for a link back to one of our focus pages. And the good thing about partnership play is you don't have to do a guest blog necessarily. And if you're wondering about the best way to approach that with someone cold, my favorite way is through LinkedIn. So let's say you've made a list of maybe some companies you want to target and you've noted down maybe their demand gen leader or their marketing leader or their founder. I'm a big fan of painfully short LinkedIn messages. So I would literally say something like, hey, Justin, or hey, Janice, have an unusual content idea to scale our traffic and inbound leads. Are you against a conversation? And they'll probably reply to me like something like, Sam, what the hell are you on about? Like, tell me more. And I'll just send them a Loom video just showing what I mean. And that's probably one of the easiest ways to stand out from all the BS messages and walls of text, if you want to go about this strategy. But the good thing about a partnership play is that it doesn't have to be an article. It could be you do a podcast together, like you invite someone to your podcast or you guest on theirs. Um, Maybe you create a little mini video series for LinkedIn or YouTube, and then you build out article pages for each one on each other's sites, and then you link back to kind of focus keywords. Those work quite nice. Or podcasting in itself can be a play. So like that's something I've done fairly strategically recently. Like there's a website called Listen Notes where you can literally go onto Listen Notes, type in your industry. In my case, SaaS marketing, B2B marketing. In other people's cases, maybe fintech, e-commerce, whatever your industry is. And you can find out the top shows in your sector, who hosts them. You can just reach out to them on LinkedIn with that strategy I just told you, and you can apply to be a guest on their show, do a really useful, helpful, educational episode, and then after when they post the article on their website, ask for a link back. So there's a lot of sweat equity ways to build decent links from decent sites, but they just take more effort as opposed to paying a team to buy links and do it all for you.
That's really good. Really, really good tips there, Sam. Thanks very much. So, we've covered this topic in depth, but what what are the metrics that you track to judge whether or not a revenue-focused SEO strategy has been successful?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So I suppose there's a few, and I'd encourage if there's marketers tuning in that want to kind of get stuck into this stuff to show signs of life to leadership as soon as possible. So that might be things like, okay, we've identified our commercial, our money keywords, our bottom of funnel keywords. We've started publishing content for them. As soon as you can see uplifts in rankings, then share that with your company Slack group or Google Drive, however you do it. Then as a result, hopefully you should see an uptick in relevant traffic. And then as a result of that, an uptick in session times on your relevant pages. So if you've got competitor pages, comparison pages, landing pages for specific offers or service pages, specific offers or product pages, if those session times and those view times on those pages going up, that's kind of good qualitative data. Um, and then on the back end, we want to start seeing, once we're getting kind of top three positions organically for some of those keywords, naturally, we want to start seeing, if they're commercial keywords, we want to start seeing signups or demos. Or if they're phoning in to you, we want to start asking us salespeople to ask on those calls, like, how did you first hear about us? If they say the internet, we dive into that. We say, okay, great. What did you search exactly? Or what was your full route to stumbling upon us today? And then hopefully they might mention Google search. And if we can get a snippet of that gong recording, chuck that into your Slack group. Anytime you can show sign of life or proof of concept, great. If they're more top of funnel keywords we talked about earlier, like how to, specific jobs to be done, problem searches, then they might not be as likely to, yes, we can report rankings, session time, traffic, etc. And of course, you can use intent tools to do a lot of cool outbound stuff. But if we want to report on metrics there, then on those how-to articles, then they might be more, if we've got a nice skimmable, well-designed article, they might lead people to a lead magnet, or they might lead people to check out the podcast, or they might lead people to check out the YouTube. So if we can show that people are taking some kind of top of funnel action and report on that, again, that's going to be nice to share those are working.
Definitely, definitely. Thanks, Sam. And speaking of tools and tech, what are the sort of the must-use tools that you have to power a revenue-focused SEO strategy?
Yeah. I'm very simple. I don't get involved in a lot of the technical side of things. That's why I have web devs a lot smarter than me to do that. So a lot of my stuff is just simple. Like we use Hrefs, mainly because I've done work with them in the past. And we use that as a keyword identification tool, of course. Google Analytics, Search Console, Hrefs. I use Google Sheets a lot for a lot of our kind of basic manual reporting and reviews and such like that. And then the technical team, we use tools like Screaming Frog and such for more detailed audits and pull-ups when they need to. But a lot of the stuff we do, like we're not using a ton of AI right now. So a lot of our stuff to really build out content that resonates is taking the time of working with clients to understand like problems they fix, impact or not fixing them for dream clients and results they bring to the table, what insights we can pull from sales calls, what thought leadership we can put into articles, landing pages and such. A lot of it's more manual and putting those insights out and then putting those into compelling pages that are going to resonate and also going to rank. So yeah, we sometimes use AI tools to build frameworks for pages, but not all that much just yet. Still quite a lot of kind of more manual processes, to be fair.
Yeah, I think that's very similar to what we do at Cognism, because again, for those BOFU high intent pages, you need detail. And AI is great for certain types of content, but for that kind of like detail, BOFU kind of really buyer focused content, it's not as advanced enough yet to sort of produce that stuff. Probably in a few years' time it might be, but I think at the moment it can't really handle it. But yeah, so I mean, yeah, you can do like really good blog outlines and things with it. But if you're going to be writing about competitors, for example, you want to be going on the websites, you want to be going on G2 and other sort of like tool tech websites, like review sites. So yeah, I think that's where you find the real detail for those kind of pages.
Yeah, exactly. Completely agree.
Great, great. Cool. Well, Sam, we've actually kind of come to the end of the questions I've got. Is there anything that you wanted to add?
I think that's it. I think where a lot of, like you said, like there's a number of reasons why SEO doesn't work for B2B and SaaS companies. One is because leadership just simply don't buy into it, in which case it might never happen. Um, Two is because there's too much red tape. which tends to happen a lot in larger scale corporations from my experience. Things move way too slowly. So like you might come up with your focus keywords, build out your focus topics, then start planning pages, but takes you like a month to write one page, get that approved by the rest of the exec and management team. Takes you another month to design it, takes you another month to code it, another month to go through sign off. And if you're a scrappy startup or mid-market company that can move fast, that is your superpower. So if you can really have a bias towards exhausting those bottom of funnel, middle funnel search queries, and really have a bias towards publishing first, tracking, then optimizing, and just hitting that full steam, that really is how you can start seeing a dent in SEO rather than waiting 6 to 12 months in 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. It does work. And then if you can complement that with like a sweat equity link building structure, it's going to be really useful on the basis that I suppose one of the things I should say is SEO is always best placed as a demand capture channel. So what I mean by that is if folks are actually aware of your solution, your offer, they know it exists. Whereas if you are a new category where people aren't necessarily searching for your offer, your tool, solution, your service on Google, then SEO might be a bit too early for you unless you want to start top funnel. You're probably better off spending your time, cash, or resource on channels that your target prospects are already hanging out on, which probably isn't Google. And there we have it. I hope you found this episode of use. If you do want to grab my 90 days to revenue with SEO playbook, head over to breakingb2b.com and hit that newsletter tab. A big thank you to Cognism for inviting me on their podcast to share this breakdown. And that's it for now, folks. I shall catch you on the next episode of Breaking B2B. Cheers for tuning in.